Hello, my name is Linnell Townsend, and I want to say this is part two of the subject that we were talking about previously. How can family members living outside of the home come together in order to help the main family caregiver, and why is it so vital that you do so? So, some of the points we want to talk about is that how important it is for family members to be able to, whether you're outside of the home or not, to take on some of the responsibilities that the main family caregiver have. So my goal today is to be able to talk about some of the things that you can do in order to lighten the load of the main family caregiver. And as I mentioned, if you are a sibling that lives outside of the home, some families may have several siblings. You may have that mother or father or a family member that's needing total care. Well, we want to make sure that the burden of responsibility is not all on the main family caregiver. If this happens and they break, then the burden of responsibility can fall on another sibling. And on top of that, something else to keep in mind is that because never ending or unending caregiving can take a toll physically and emotionally on a person's health, that main family caregiver, if they break, you'll actually have two individuals needing care, the person providing care as well as the person in need of care, or persons. So today, as we said, we want to talk about ways you can lighten the load of the main family caregiver. And first of all, different ways that you can get involved so that you won't have to have two family members needing care. One of the first things is that possibly you may be, if you're a sibling working or living in another place, you don't have to say that, no, I can't do anything because I don't live locally. You can probably be similar to like a coordinator of affairs. When we were in homes, we had house managers. When I worked as a DSP through home caregiving agencies, they would have house managers, and the house manager was able to organize all of the affairs of what goes on in the home, from any of the needs that was taken care of. Now, over the house manager, if you had that supervisor there, then they would be able to coordinate several different homes and so forth. So the whole point is that we can kind of duplicate some of these services to a degree. My whole goal with families and others is to be able to, main family caregivers, is to be able to help you to get, if you are a family that's, maybe you don't have insurance, and you're needing immediate solutions. So my goal is to give you, since I had the skills as a DSP, a direct support professional, to help you to have some of these skills at a fraction of the cost. So if you can coordinate your person outside of the home, this is one thing there. Another thing is the fact that, as I mentioned, I have a 4-week training program that's designed for that. I want to be able to tailor to meet your needs as a family. I want to structure it in a way to take into consideration all your schedules and your time, the times of availability and things of this sort. So, one of the things that's needed in my 4-week course, in my 4-week training that's divided into 2 courses. Well, let's be honest, if that main family caregiver is busy taking care of your loved one, because remember, this is a crisis that involves everyone. This is your crisis too. So as they're taking care of your loved one and their needs, they may not have the time to go through training. Well, what if you personally or someone could be delegated to decide, I'm going to go through the training? So if you're going through the 4-week training for them and you're doing all of the exercise, now it is important to know that there are some assignments that main family caregiver must do on their own, because that's the only way they're going to be trained, and they'll be the only one to benefit from that. So this is one point. You could probably go through the training for them. Another point is the fact that we mentioned that one of the most important tools that we use in when we work through professional home caregiving agencies, the main tool that was used was a binder, and that binder had all the information pertaining to the loved one's care inside, as well as any medical issues concerning all the doctors, everything pertaining to that person's ailment was in that binder. What if you could create a binder? So if that's the case, you can, if you are delegated to say, hey, I'm gonna go through the training, keep one binder yourself and mail one to the main family caregiver. That way you're on the same page, and you'll be able to help them and support them that way. Another thing, though, too, is to help generate additional caregivers. And if you're thinking that I'm someplace else, how can I do this? That's where Zoom comes in. That's where sites like Indeed and others are coming in, because if you can't find caregivers among friends and families that are willing to do so, professional caregivers through Zoom and other places like this You can't find things like this that's available. So that's another thing. Zoom with them. You're able to interview them through Zoom or train them or just whatever you have to do through Zoom, even if you're living in another state. Another thing, though, too, is task sheets and daily schedules. In order to try to help generate, if you get caregivers, we want to make sure we have a schedule in mind. And one of the things I appreciate, for example, let's just say if you have 2 or 3 people that say that I'm available to help, we train these as caregivers, and they won't be professional, but they can provide some quality caregiving. Well, we need a schedule. One may be available on a Monday, someone else on a Tuesday, or something of this sort. And if that's the case, or Friday, what if you could generate 3 days out of the week for the main family caregiver? You gave them 3 days of free time for themselves, 8 to 10 hours out of the day. So that's something else to think about, though, too. And then when it comes to all the legal aspects, this may be something the main family caregiver themselves may want to do, but that's something to consider. Consulting physicians, and you don't want everyone in the family constantly calling physicians. This could have a negative effect on your family. And if you know of doctor's appointments, reminder, at least just asking them, keeping up with what's going on with the person and asking. Something else I want to say is be a good listener. That's so important because their 24/7 job, they are overwhelmed day and night with caring for your loved one and their loved one. So if you are a good listener to them, this is going to be something that's going to be so appreciative. And also, you want to be cautious. This is one of the things that I noticed with my dementia patients over the years. They may have a lot to talk about. Some things they talk about may be true, some things may not. Whatever the case, do not become their enabler. So you want to try to encourage dementia patients to respect. Don't side with them. That's not going to help anything because this is part of the brain. The brain is changing. So you might want to encourage them to be respectful of the caregiver, the main family caregiver, and their family because they all are under stress, dealing with different things of different parts of the disease or what the disease may put them through. Okay. Also, with it, when it comes to the pay, you got these main family caregivers that are, no, I'm sorry, these additional caregivers that are willing to work. Well, now they're kind of like employees, basically, of yours. By the way, it's going to be left up to you as to what you want to do with tasks, paying taxes or anything of that sort. But someone's got to pay them. If they're going to work 2 to 3 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, someone has to pay them. So that's where you can come in, outside siblings, help to pay that salary of those main family caregivers. That way you know you have them readily available. Any other financial needs, find out what a list of the things are that the main family caregiver is going through. It shouldn't, the burden of responsibility shouldn't all be on that person there. And so at the end of your 4-week training, what should you have? Well, you should have a binder that's going to be filled with, that's going to be unique profile with all the information concerning to your loved one's care, and also it's going to be structured around your schedule. You're going to have trained, reliable caregivers in place with valuable resources and a plan of action that's going to be structured around your needs. And it's going to make the needs of, it's going to make the life a lot easier on that main family caregiver. And in turn, because they will now have the physical strength, the mental clarity, and free time for themselves, they can now be the best caregiver they can be to the person needing them the most, your loved one. I want to encourage you to please go to our website. We could talk further about different things that families can do in order to support that main family caregiver, how you can work together. And remember, this is your crisis, your family, your time of need, how you can work together to support one another. And I want to say, let's see how we can help you lighten the load of your family. Let's get started. So we can you can go to my Get Started page on my website. My website, again, I want to say, is SHS, the number 4, LT.com. SHS4LT.com. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is LYNNELT, the @ at SHS, number 4LT.com. And of course, I'll make sure it's down there that you can see at the bottom of the page, so too. So hit my like button if you like, and please give me a comment. So I want to say again that I'm hoping the best for you and your family because I know it's a struggle. But remember, as you work together as a family, you can lighten the load on one and the burden of responsibility won't fall on others. You're in my heart, you're in my prayers, and I hope the best for your family. And thank you.